Hello. So I have been watching a bunch of documentaries, and I just watched the volcano rescue from Wakati, um, and then I watched the Climate Baby Dilemma. And it's interesting because when I was at the ashram, um, this guy that ended up becoming one of my friends, he was my friend even when we were having this conversation, but we were at the ashram together along with a bunch of people, and he was asking if I thought it was ethical to have children. And that's been a conversation that's come up again and again. And my answer has always been yes. I've always had a very strict, hard line that there will be nobody who tells me not to have children other than myself. There will be nobody that influences that other than me because I've always wanted to be a mother since I was a child. It's being a mother and being in a romantic partnership have always been the two very, very consistent dreams of mine. I guess along with being a teacher of some kind, but the way that a teacher exists has morphed in my mind. But being a mother and being a partner have always been things that have been within me as a very strong dream and desire since I was a kid. And then I've become an aunt recently in the past 2 years, and that has vastly changed my understanding of how many children I want and when and if ever. And not because of the children, but because of the relationship dynamics and seeing how much work is put on the mother and seeing just how much of a choice parenthood is for men compared to women, um, and the lack of safety. And so it's been interesting because, like I said, I've never really wavered on wanting children until recently. So much so to the point where I could say seriously um, that I consider not having children at all, and that I could. It's a very blurry and very gray and very distant imagining, but at certain points I can imagine my whole life not having children, and I can see that future. And that's pretty horrible to me because it's a very, very vast change and switch from who I've been my whole life. And I also understand that there are many things contributing to that. But I guess I was just thinking because it was Christmas yesterday and I was at my family's. We had a big little family gathering, and we got into the conversation naturally around abortion and reproductive rights and women and motherhood and fathers, and specifically within the Black community because I'm Black, and that's a common conversation. And it was pretty distressing, which is not unusual, but um, it just feels a little bit more devastating these days. And I don't know, I've been in a funk the past few days, maybe weeks, so I've already kind of felt bogged down. But the more that my emotions don't change in terms of being able to consider not having children, the more troubled I feel because it was such a quick change. It feels like it happened overnight, and then it has become so solid. And not solid in terms of, oh, I'm not going to have children, but just so solid in the fact that it's here, that this is a thing that I'm thinking and that I'm taking serious, and the potential that this could be an actual decision that I make. It's kind of terrifying, and pretty horrible, and really changes my understanding of my future altogether because being a mother was such a big part of that dream. And as I think about it now, it's very hard to feel the same excitement and joy that I would previously feel. Like it just feels like this potential path in my life, but it doesn't feel certain. And that feels scary. And I was thinking about like the way that I don't think abortion is the biggest issue that we need to worry about in terms of people who have children. Um, I don't feel like that's the biggest issue that we need to worry about when it comes to our reproductive rights. I feel like obviously the climate and the future of our planet, but also the interpersonal relationships within our communities, and especially the progression of men who will be with people of with uh, uh, people who have children, who can have children. Um, I feel like these are things that are really important to me right now. And it's becoming more clear even as I really lose a strong desire to try at dating and to try in putting myself out there. And this is all like, it's interesting because all of this is accompanying a pretty difficult past 2 years, not just for myself, but for everybody. But in my own personal life, I got into my first relationship and then I left it as a survivor. And then the more that I now delve into this new existence now in my life, the more I think about how embedded into our culture and into our society rape culture is and sexual violence is, and how so much that we watch every day is sexual violence, and how much of our experiences include sexual violence. And then I think about dating and how hopeless it feels right now, and how inhumane dating apps feel, and how much hope I lose, and how disconnected I feel when I'm on those apps and when I'm trying to find a partner. And how shitty I feel about the way that I exist in those spaces too, because I'm just swiping and I'm not really able to engage in conversation. And so I bet I also end up bringing some trauma into other people's lives just through my sheer lack of ability to really connect and really be present. And so then I start to lose hope in whether I'm going to be able to actually find a partner, a suitable partner, because we're also in this age, and I'm in this stage where I'm not interested in, relationships of the past where we just kind of went for what we had and we did what we needed to do. We're in a space in the world where we have so many options in terms of being able to choose what kind of future you want and what kind of parent you're going to be and what kind of relationships you want to enter into as women, at least as women in the world that I'm in. I'm not without choice. And so those are sacrifices there were sacrifices that were made by the women that came before me, by my ancestors, to make it so that I could enter into this life with choices. And so now I need to take those decisions and I need to be responsible. And so now I'm not just settling for any partner, and I'm not just taking what I can get, and I'm not, just staying with people who I know will not be great parents, who will not be a good co-parent, who will not love me, who will not care for our family, who will not care for themselves enough to create a life for our family that will be filled with love and that will allow our children to thrive. I have to make responsible decisions around who I want to parent with or who I just want to live with. That's a decision that now I have to take seriously because I was given the ability to make a decision at all. And so when I think about all these things and I think about children, and it's so sobering being an aunt and being very involved because, and I'm not even like, it's not like I'm being like a full-time parent, but just even being a witness, it is very, very sobering. We all know that having a child is not a joke and that it's hard work, but it's so much more complicated and difficult and painful and grief filled and traumatizing than we ever get explained to us. And unless you are able to be in the life of somebody who has children and you're able to be there from the beginning, you really won't understand. And I can't even fully understand because I'm not a mother. I'm just an aunt, and I'm not there 24/7. And I'm getting a very specific experience of parenthood right now. But But I'm also getting an experience that seems a lot more widespread than we like to admit. Because even within marriage, there are a lot of mothers who are raising the children on their own. And we're knowing that there are higher rates of families breaking up and so many people feeling like, well, maybe they're just going to do it on their own. And it's just so like exhausting and terrifying, and then you just get so angry. And I think about my future and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to make money. I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't know what I'm going to do. And the idea that I need to now start thinking about these things, which no one is forcing me to, but I can't help but think about it, because for so long it's been, they've been pillars that I've been working towards because they're things that I care about. But now I'm just kind of feeling like I don't know what's going on and I don't know what's next. And I'm not hopeless, because I tend to be able to still find the joy and the love in it all. But I'm tired, and I am at some points just very sad and very, but feeling betrayed. Because, and not by our people, but just by these systems and mostly by our governments, and just feeling like it's going to take magic to lead us to another place. But then I don't want to think that, because I want to trust that we can do it, that, the people can get together and use our power to make big world decisions. And I do believe that that's possible, but without a playbook, it's kind of, it's scary. And everybody seems to be operating from a place of anxiety right now, which is understandable given the state of our world. So it's really hard to make a clear, level-headed decision and to be able to hear people when they're bringing up new ideas, new innovative ideas, because everybody's answer is just, well, how are you going to do this? And blah, 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 and wanting to know everything ahead of time, when honestly we're in a place where we just have to accept that we're going to be like freestyling it all, kind of, in terms of making the future and creating new systems and things like that. But people are looking for a sense of security that you're just not going to get, We are not in a world where a sense of security is allowed anymore. And for someone like me, not to bring astrology into it, but my North Node is in Cancer. So I'm looking for that. I am constantly looking for a home, constantly looking for a way to make a home out of anything, to make belonging out of something, to make family out of something, to make community out of these things, to get security, to find structure and foundation and a solid, entity that I feel safe within. And safety is so fragile right now, and it's becoming almost an elusive word. It's like not even real at this point. And so now it's like kind of having to redefine or work towards this energy that I don't even know how it's going to exist anymore, because there is no, all of the foundations or the things that you might be able to think of when you reference that in even astrology, I don't know if they are taking into account the changes that we're going through right now to understand now what Cancer energy looks like in a world that is, in the middle of its apocalypse. And in this climate baby dilemma, there was a woman, Saran Fox, and I really liked her portion of it. She was talking about how she's an indigenous woman. She is Anishinaabe Kwe, and this is her Instagram. But she was saying how, her people have already gone through the apocalypse. So this idea of not having children because of climate change is not a thing. And in fact, having children is the action. And I feel the same way. In so many ways, for me, having a child is not just about having a child, it's also about being able to raise children in a home filled with love and be able to give them an opportunity to experience the world in a loving way, because I also believe that within all of us is our ancestors. And so within my children will be my ancestors, and I want them to be able to have another shot at life that is more loving towards them and that treats them more kindly, and to be able to repair their relationship with the earth, because I also believe that the earth is within all of us, and so every time we reincarnate, we bring up earth's own ancestry with those reincarnations, and we give earth the chance to heal and regenerate and to re-experience life, re-experience her own body or their own body in a way that is safe, because of all of the trauma that's happened in the past. And so, those are reasons why I want children. I want children because I love children, and I believe that, life is magic with them around. Children of all species. I just think little babies are amazing, and watching them grow into kids and then teenagers and adults and then elders, it's incredible, and it's one of the gifts of being on this earth, and it's something I want to share. And I know that there are so many ways to be a parent. There are so many children that need a home, but also being gifted with being able to have children in this life and have a body that is able to grow a child. That's something I want to experience. And, when I think about all of the things that make me so terrified to be a parent, it really doesn't have anything to do with, messing up and traumatizing them and things like that, because those are valid fears, but those aren't my fears. My fears come from the very real systems of this world and the very real governments that don't care for us and are now creating a future that is terrifying and locked in and isolating. I don't want to give my children that, but I also don't want to give these governments basically my reproductive rights and allow them to inform the decisions that I make. I hate that idea, especially because that has already been we've already been through that, with my heritage. People have already gone through that, and we should be able to extend the future to our families and to new life in a way that that gives them the opportunity, that gives them the chance to live and bring their ideas into the world and craft their new beginnings. And it's just so hard and complicated, and being an adult is just so sucky right now, and I think I'm just emotional, but ultimately, I guess I'm just feeling a bit sad and in need of a community, and also just in need of some type of reassurance. Like, everything just feels so up in the air with everything. There's nothing that feels grounded about life right now, and I think that's also just where I'm at in life right now. But it's just, I've always had so much hope for the future because I'm just an optimistic person. And so I still have a lot of hope, but it does kind of break my heart to think this way and to know that these feelings are very real, and that there is a point where these feelings could become so solid that they actually end up informing, the way that I live my life in a very intimate way in terms of children. I can't imagine giving that up. And I don't think I will. I think I will have children. I think I'll also adopt. But there's a chance that I wouldn't give birth. And that thought process is just scary to me. And when that developed, I think that kind of threw me off. And I haven't really dove into it. I've just ignored it and just pushed it aside. But just knowing that is there and that it hasn't gone away is just kind of scary to me. Because it's just setting in, the very real reality is that no matter how much I try and push love and positive hopes for the future out into the world, reality does creep in, and I cannot escape these feelings and these questions. And it's not that I even was trying to escape them before, but they just didn't get to me as much because I was just super solid. But just seeing that solid base break down into something that's a lot more fragile and a lot more movable is scary. Mostly because I'm not quite sure where I'll end up, especially if I'm not sure if I'll find a partner, a life partner, which is also very scary because I believe that everybody deserves to find somebody or many people who they love and who they have a connection with and who they feel safe with and who they can create a partnership with, whether they choose to have children or not. I believe that everybody deserves love. And the idea that that is something that might not come in this lifetime because of the way that people are and because of the amount of healing that needs to be done and that's being avoided and because of the amount of sheer violence that has been enacted against me and against women that I know, against men that I know, against people that I know, and the way that so many seem to just not be able to be in a relationship or so hopeless and unable to connect deeply with each other and with themselves. And I'm not disconnected from that. I'm very much so a part of that reality, but it just gets a little scary, And I think that there was a woman in this Climate Baby documentary who was saying, she's a climate psychologist, and she was saying that talking about these things is really important and making sure that, you have these conversations, not just with young people, but just amongst each other so that we're not isolated in our feelings and isolated in our woes and don't feel like we're the only ones feeling this and don't feel like this is reality, because one of the big things I've been having to remind myself this year and really learn and really embed within myself is that my feelings are not reality. They're just my feelings, and they're valid, but they're not the truth. They're just valid in the fact that they are my feelings. And so, I guess I just wanted to get this out and put that out there just to say that these are things that I'm thinking about as a woman, as somebody who can have children and may have children, as somebody who eventually would like to be in a partnership, someone who cares about this planet and cares about people and cares about creatures of all life and just wants something better, but feels very lost as to how to get there and very scared and very angry and just a little bit hopeless right now, a little bit hopeless. I guess I just wanted to put that out there, but this is all I have to say, so I'm done now, and I'll see you later.